All righty, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Hurley Investments Market View Commentary for the 4th of November 2024. This is the first one for this month. We probably have about 7 more scheduled, and then we'll be taking a couple weeks off for Christmas and for New Year's so that I can do a ton of research, fundamental research, and making sure that what we're looking at next year has an opportunity, and what we're in currently is still fundamentally sound. This one's going to be a pretty quick one tonight. Really, it's all about the election, and then it's all about Thursday, a rate cut. The good news is currently, meaning today, currently we are ready and protected for the outcome. And in real life, no one knows what that outcome is going to be. I did bring, and I'm going to squeeze on down here, what the stock market typically does after the U.S. election. And I found this one interesting because I don't think it tells the whole story. On the 11/8/2016, we had Trump beating Hillary Clinton. It said we finished the day up 1.11%. What it doesn't tell you, at one time in the evening, the Dow was down 800 points, was up to 1,200 points higher, and then finished roughly about 1%. Pretty interesting to see that the day after our last 2 elections, the market was up. Before that, in 2012, the market was down 2.37%. And if we follow it a little bit more, it's most of the time down. Little negative sign. I probably didn't put this out big enough for everyone. But for the most part, it has been down. There is, for those of you that asked me, that negative sign is right here. 2008 down 5.27%. 2000 1.58. A week after, it's been to a certain degree down 3.77, down 10.62. There are some concerns on what's going to happen because the last 2 have happened the way that they were supposed to. We just don't know. But this time is different. Correct. This time is different. So I guess a couple of the questions you need to ask yourself, and I heard this on CNBC today as I was traveling back home. The questions you have to ask yourself are you better today than 4 years ago? Another question. Are you okay with the status quo? Last one. I should do it this way. Have you read and do you believe the individual will fulfill the platform they ran on? Here's what I'm going to say. It seems like not too long ago, we used to have our election and we could still be friends, right? And I think that has changed. I think in our society today, and I might blame it on social media to a point, but it's amazing what some of the people will say on social media, but won't say it to your face. are you so angry at the way the government has been treating you that you want to take it out on your neighbor who may have voted for that person? For us, it relates to, I think, taxes. For us, it relates to our stock market. For us, it's going to relate to, hopefully, which one do you think will help you in your position coming into the future? And to be 100% honest with you, I seem to think it's a pretty cut and clear decision, but each of us gets to make it on our own. It's shocking that sometimes I look at what's happening to society and thinking the majority can think one way versus another. With that said, I look at my kids and how I've raised them, and I will admit I'm a little shocked sometimes at the way they act because I think they've been raised better. So it's each to his own. Don't forget that tomorrow we have to vote. If you haven't already done early voting, get out and vote. Make your vote count. For those of you that think maybe it might not matter, I think every vote matters, whether it's just for yourself to know you're voting for what you believe in, or possibly, as it's been so close, maybe your vote will count and be a deciding factor. With that said, it's rate cut time. Federal Open Market Committee meets, usually it's Monday, Tuesday. It's now Wednesday, Thursday this week. Someone tell me, what are we going to get from the FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee? What do you guys think? What are we going to get? It's been all over the board. I know what the probabilities show, but what are we going to get Thursday, 12:15 Mountain Standard Time? Well, I guess it's 12, 2:15. What are we going to get? There we go. A rate cut of 0.25%. Because they said so at the last meeting. But it is very interesting because there have been talks of a 50 basis point cut, which means they'll do no cuts in December. Anyone remember what the core PCE number came in as? Anyone remember what that core PCE number came in as? Probably last week or the week before? Correct. Was 0.3 or plus 0.10% higher. We had an interesting comment came in. Stay the same since political pressure is off. Right now, it's at a 90% quarter point is the expectation. The other 10%, I would expect it would have been a half a point. The other 10%. The other 10th or 10% of the polling group, I would have thought would have been at 50 basis points, but the other 10% is that there's no rate cut, that it stays the same. So that's interesting. Usually when it's said and done, they're supposed to be apolitical, right? Not for one side or the other. We don't know. We don't know where we're going with this. We don't know where we're going to be. They're usually, I mean, if you think about it, they're usually a day late and a dollar short, which just means that they overrun one way or to the other. it's kind of funny how we expect so much of them, and they are not ready. They don't have it. They're off. That's just what happens. And I guess the best comment we have is that we just are going to do the best. We're going to do the best we can to see where they go. They said they'd lower by 1% this year, 1.5% to 2.5% next year, but we don't know. So it'll be interesting to see where we go forward from there. With that said, I just hope to a certain degree we have a peaceful election. Go vote, get it done with. We'll see who we're with, and we'll take care of where we got to take care of from there. I'm going to warn you. I've talked about having a little bit of food storage, being a little prepared. If we go through those same 6 battle states that can't get their numbers reported in the nighttime and there's a stoppage for some reason, it would not surprise me if all hell breaks loose. And that's just something we need to think about and be prepared for. Little extra food storage, getting you through maybe a week or two, would not be a bad thing the way our country's acting right now. With that said, that is this week. We could have a 5% up week with a decent election result and a rate cut. We could go up 5% in a week. With that said, we're down about 5.5%, I believe. Maybe not that much. We're down at least 3%. It could have been more. If we go from the 14th of October, gave it away, 0.5%. We were up 0.8. Then we kind of gave it away. Done. Flat. So I guess it was just last week. Last week finishing down a couple percent. Hurt us. So in the last 3 weeks, we're basically down 1.8. Yeah, we're down about 2.02% in the last 3 weeks. We gave away all of our October gains, and there's uncertainty. It is uncertainty, and we don't know. It's kind of interesting. A couple comments that just came in. It may be so close that they may not know the results until Thursday. Maybe, but that's only if they're doing recounts. Technically, we should have all of our votes in and know where we're at by about midnight Eastern. We should have a general idea of all the votes and where we're at. But if they're recounts, yes, it could push things till Thursday, but it's not supposed to be that way. And it's funny, again, we can't even count votes right now. Make me sick to pay higher taxes. That's all I'm going to say. All right, here we go. Couple earnings coming up here. More here in a couple weeks, but if we're looking at earnings, we do have Under Armour this week. That's something to pay attention to. Income Realty was today. We'll have Square on Thursday. Yep. Square and Under Armour, I believe, are on Thursday. And that's about where we're looking at being short and skinny, right? The briefing picture. All it's going to talk about is the Federal Open Market Committee meeting. If you're interested on what they're saying, great read right here for you. I was just informed that my Hurley investment has some problems, so I will look into that and find out what's holding that back, because it should be up and running. There's a lot of positivity in our market. Our GDP's going. It may not be what we used to, but we're positive. We're moving at 2.8% yearly. We're not great, but we're not bad. So it'll be interesting to see where we end up. Last week, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was bearish. We are still technically bearish, breaking the 50-day today. Today, the fact that the Dow couldn't hold the 50 with two new components being added in, one which is NVIDIA, little cumbersome. Someone asked me, hey, what's the big deal about NVIDIA getting into the Dow? Because the Dow, in all honesty, it really is a TV index. It's not widely traded compared to the S&P, the NASDAQ. Yet our volume today was almost 340 million, almost 341 million shares traded. So there is some significant volume. Why is it important when you see a stock go into an index? One, it doesn't necessarily change the index because people are already in the index, but it changes the copycatters. So sometimes those copycatters that you see that are trying to mirror or model the Dow Jones Industrial Average because they feel 31 stocks is the perfect number, they are going to, for all intents and purposes, they're going to mirror it. So then you have obviously more of that being traded. You have 341 million shares of NVIDIA. It is now put in the index that are being bought and sold, which is something that I think is kind of interesting to understand. A lot of people have asked me, well, Kevin, it's copycat. How many is that? That could be up to another billion shares traded daily. And more importantly, is really the Dow that important, period? No, it's not, but it's one of the most popular or highly traded overseas indexes, which is why you sometimes see the Dow significantly lower or higher at the open. That's due to overseas trading. So is it important for a stock? Yes, it increases the volume significantly. It increases the opportunity for it to be bought and sold as it goes into new models that are trying to copycat the Dow model. More shares get purchased there. So it should be pretty significant to NVIDIA. It wasn't exactly today. I would have thought NVIDIA would have finished higher, like it showed. With that said, though, we did have 172 million shares traded today. After hours, another 8 million. So we do have a significant amount of shares that are being traded on NVIDIA. And that's probably going to bump up by about another 10%. But yes, NASDAQ is technically bearish. Not NASDAQ. The Dow is technically bearish. The S&P went from bullish to bearish. We are holding the 50-day. An election tomorrow. Whoa. Well, someone asked, what is going to happen to the S&P tomorrow? We're probably going to be flat. We're probably going to be flat. I doubt anyone's making a big bet, as the election could be extremely close. So it will probably sit right on that 50-day, and we'll see where we move higher or lower after the election. With that said, if you're looking down here on the Williams percent R, and we're also sitting on the 50-day, last time that happened, we had roughly about a 5% bounce. That is something to keep in the back of your mind there. Most recently in September when that happened, yes, we did broke it, but when we bounced off the 50-day, it was about a 5% bounce. Just something that I would be paying attention to. All right, what else do we have for us? We have the NASDAQ. NASDAQ is technically also bearish. So in a week, not only did the S&P or the stock market give it its gains for October, all three indexes are bearish. Why is this important? This is a big sign that nobody knows what we're looking up to here in the near future. We just don't know. There's nothing set in stone that tells us, hey, where are we going to end up? What's going to happen? We're just writing it out. With that said, where are we going to end November? Again, I'm saying I just don't know. I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm protected either way. And we're basically going to sit on things tomorrow. We're not going to make any big adjustments. Yes, we did move some positions to at the money to protect those profits and puts, and we'll see where we end up. Pretty quiet earnings. We had Wind today, which actually did not do good. Marriott, Yum China, and Cliffs Natural. Tuesday, DuPont, Yum, and Devon Energy. Wednesday, CVS, Qualcomm, Zillow, JCI is Johnson's companies, and HubSpot. Thursday, Gold, Barrett Gold, Duke, Halliburton, Murphy, Oil, Ralph Lauren, Tapestry, Airbnb, Monster, and Under Armour. And I don't have it in here, but Square also reports. And Friday, nothing of any importance that I noticed. No bellwethers. I don't want to say that earnings aren't important, but earnings are not important. Factory orders today was a non-issue. ISM services tomorrow. We have the election tomorrow, which is really what I should be putting in here. Thursday, FOMC rate meeting. That'll be important. Friday, Michigan sentiment. So again, it's just the election and the rate cut. I do have some interesting articles. One on the sector that's been struggling and where we think things might be going higher. They called it fintech or the financial. Fintech would be Square. It would be PayPal. It would be anything that's related to that regard, like Venmo, financial technology. I would like to believe this. To be honest with you, I don't know, but I found it a very interesting article because the numbers are correct. He's done his research, and he's even listed some things that could really take off higher. It'll just be interesting to see if they do or they don't. I have Alphabet's earnings. Well, Kevin, Alphabet seemed to have reverted to the means. Yes. Why is this happening on such a good earnings? Again, I do think it's related to false advertising, clicks. Really, this should be Alphabet's best earnings as they run into Christmas. I just have their earnings so you can read it. I would not be surprised if we don't see a bounce after the election on Alphabet, and it could be a 10% bounce or more into the end of the year. Just go through the numbers and take a look at it. Do make your own, your own opinion on it. Silver's breaking out. Very interesting. A lot of people have talked about gold, but if you talk about gold, then you may have missed the silver breakout. Silver's at a relatively all-time high. Back up at $32.50. Hasn't been there for like 10, 13 years. I don't remember exactly because I don't actively trade it. But very interesting because on a percentage basis, you would have made more on silver, almost double on silver, than what you would have made in gold in the same time over the last 8 to 10 months. So just things to read. I have a very interesting article here on silver. No, that does not mean you go right into it. Just pay attention. And also take a look at all the disclosures here. They're very covered that if they said it wrong, you're not worried. A lot of people talked about markets. China's property market is expected to stabilize. Yes, but even more so, China is almost planning on Trump getting into some higher tariffs, and they're planning on like $1.5 trillion stimulus package for their economy. No central bank wants to stop price inflation. Very interesting article. It's from the Epoch Times. I've copied it all in here. Definitely, this is not a conspiracy theory. This is just one that if you want to know how banks work, how they borrow money and what they're trying to do, this is the article for you to pay attention to. And last but not least, obviously, stock futures are flat ahead of the presidential election. But I've got 2 articles on NVIDIA getting into the Dow, as well as there's another one that got in other than NVIDIA, as well as the election, as well as 3 reasons why Buffett is shunning stocks right now, even though he has a $325 billion cash chest. Again, it all comes down to uncertainty. People just don't know. You know until you know until you don't know. What I am going to tell you is the government, the stock market likes certainty. And right now, there is no certainty in our stock market. We will most likely have a pretty flat day tomorrow. I mean, we're going to be down maybe 1/10 to 1/4%. Then we're going to get some election results, and whatever you see tomorrow evening will not necessarily compute to a Wednesday open. I would strongly suggest don't trade or jump into a bunch of things Wednesday. Whether we're up a lot or down a lot, it will be a very volatile market. It is not a time to be placing a trade or taking anything off. You need to give the market time to settle, which may be a couple days, even really till Friday, based on what the rate decision is. With that said, any questions you guys have for me? Are there any questions that you guys have for me? And Abraham, thank you for letting me know we had an issue with the My Hurley investment. I will be working on that tomorrow to find out why that website is not up. I actually did not know that it was down. But any questions anyone has in regards to the website, or in regards to the election, or any concerns about your portfolios. I mean, if you're going to be, this was a great time to be transferring portfolios over to Hurley Investments. You missed a couple points down. You had your money out of the uncertainty. Pray and buy ammo. Yeah, things get ridiculous. There we go. Okay, I don't see anything coming in. So with that said, you guys have a great night. This will be an interesting election. Don't panic tomorrow. Don't panic on Wednesday. Just we're going to have to let some things settle out. If your guy or your girl doesn't win, please remember we're still all Americans. Don't do something rash or ridiculous. All right, I see no other questions coming in. Guys, appreciate you being here with me. look forward to seeing you next Monday. We'll have a lot to talk about then. Yes, we will have a Thursday trade findings and adjustments, but we're going to be doing the best we can to making sure that we just have you available so we can tell you what we're doing with portfolios based on what we're seeing for Thursday. You guys have a great night. Look forward to seeing you next week. Take care, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye, everyone.